Imagine waking up, completely paralyzed, as a shadowy figure looms over your bed. What if I told you this isn't just an ancient nightmare, but a terrifyingly common modern phenomenon? We're about to uncover the shocking contemporary truth behind sleep paralysis that science is still struggling to explain. Prepare to have your understanding of reality challenged. You think you know sleep paralysis? Think again. What if the old hag isn't just folklore, but a chilling manifestation tied to something far more sinister in our modern world? Thousands are reporting experiences that defy logic, pushing the boundaries of what we thought possible. Are you brave enough to confront the unsettling answers? They say it's just a dream, but countless victims report the exact same terrifying encounters. What if the creatures you see during sleep paralysis aren't simply figments of your imagination, but a shared, terrifying reality surfacing in the 21st century? This isn't just a video. It's a deep dive into the disturbing contemporary landscape of sleep paralysis that will make you question everything you thought you knew about your own mind. Have you ever woken up but couldn't move? Your eyes open, you're aware of your room, maybe the faint hum of your surroundings, yet your body refuses to respond. Your mind screams, but your voice won't follow. This isn't a nightmare. It's the moment where sleep and waking collide, a liminal state that traps you between two worlds. Scientists call it REM atonia, a natural paralysis that prevents you from acting out your dreams. But sometimes, your brain wakes up before your body does. You become conscious while your muscles remain locked, your breathing shallow, your heart racing. In this fragile overlap, the boundaries of reality begin to blur. The dream doesn't end, it leaks through. The fragments of REM spill into wakefulness, painting vivid, hallucinatory visions that feel indistinguishably real. A shadow at the foot of your bed, the weight pressing down on your chest, a whisper just beside your ear. It's a primal terror, the fear of being trapped inside yourself. You're awake enough to know something is wrong, but powerless to escape it. Across the world, millions describe the same haunting experience. A dark figure watching from the corner. A presence that feels ancient and intelligent. Maybe it's just the brain misfiring. Or maybe it's something far older than sleep itself. For centuries, what we now call sleep paralysis was never seen as a medical glitch. It was a visitation. In medieval Europe, people spoke of the incubus and succubus, shadowy demons that crept onto sleeping bodies, stealing breath and life itself. In the north, it was the Mara, a vengeful spirit pressing down on the chest. In the Caribbean, it was called Coac. In Turkey, Karabosin, the dark presser. Different names, different worlds, yet the same suffocating terror shared across time. Artists tried to capture it. In Fuseli's haunting painting The Nightmare, a pale woman lies helpless, a demonic creature perched on her chest. Centuries before cameras, this image already mirrored what millions would later describe: the weight, the presence, the unseen watcher. Across Japan, the Rokuro Kubi, a spirit whose neck stretches unnaturally in the night, embodied the same fear of something not quite human intruding as we sleep. These stories, from distant cultures, repeat the same imagery: the paralysis, the shadow, the thing that sees you when you cannot move. But here's the question. We've mapped REM cycles, measured brainwaves, given every symptom a name. And still, people wake up trembling, convinced something truly was there. Why do our modern demons, the faceless hat man, the dark silhouettes at the foot of the bed, feel as ancient as the nightmares that haunted our ancestors. Maybe this isn't just fear of paralysis. Maybe these encounters tap into something deeper, a place where dream, memory, and myth overlap. A shared, ancient language of terror that every generation continues to speak, even when we think we've outgrown our ghosts. In the age of glowing screens and restless minds, sleep no longer feels sacred. It's another space we scroll through, another world shaped by what we see and share. The internet has turned sleep paralysis from a private horror into a global phenomenon. Thousands gather in online forums, desperate for answers, describing the same suffocating moments, the same dark silhouette at the door, the same figure in the brimmed hat watching from the corner. They call him the Hat Man. Some say he's tall and faceless. Others swear they can make out a grin beneath the shadow. What makes it unsettling isn't just the similarity, it's the precision. Across continents and cultures, people who've never met describe identical encounters, down to the texture of the darkness itself. Before the internet, these stories were isolated whispers in the night. Now, they echo endlessly, each retelling feeding the next. Researchers have noticed how online exposure changes what people experience. Read enough descriptions of the Hat Man, and your next paralysis episode might conjure him uninvited. The human mind, when half awake and terrified, is a perfect screen for suggestion. It's no coincidence that as these stories spread, so too did the frequency of similar sightings. Digital folklore made manifest in the most intimate space possible, your own consciousness. Meanwhile, in lucid dreaming communities, the narrative shifts. There, people train themselves to control the dream, to fly, to explore, to reshape the nightmare. But in sleep paralysis, the dream controls you. The same thin barrier between awareness and unconsciousness exists. Yet one side breeds freedom, the other dread. So maybe the Hat Man isn't just an entity, but a mirror, a reflection of the modern mind. Overloaded, sleepless, and haunted by what it consumes. The ancient demons once whispered through firelight. Today, they spread through fiber optics, reborn in pixels and fear, waiting for the next sleepless night to step through the static. You weren't just imagining it. What you felt was real, not a demon in your room, but a real collision of biology and perception. Sleep paralysis sits at that crossroads, and the figures you see, even the Hat Man, are shaped by both your nervous system and your story of fear. Here's the science without the coldness. In REM sleep, the brain paralyzes your muscles' rematonia so you don't act out dreams. When you wake into that paralysis, your threat detection circuits are still turned up. The mind tries to explain the suffocation and immobility, and the fastest explanation is a presence. The result is a waking dream, hypnopompic hallucinations layered onto the actual room you're in. The shadow becomes a figure. The corner becomes a watcher. The weight on your chest becomes an intent. Recurring characters, the Hat Man, the old hag, the visitor at the door, aren't random. Repetition wires expectation. Expectation shapes perception. If you've seen him once, anxiety before sleep makes you more vigilant, more suggestible, and more likely to complete ambiguous shadows into the same silhouette. This is why the experience feels personal, targeted, haunted. Can lucid dream techniques help? Sometimes. Reality checks, dream journals, and mild style intentions can shift you from paralysis into a controllable dream. But they can also heighten awareness at sleep-wake boundaries. For some people, That makes paralysis more likely. The key is gentle use. Ground first, then guide. If you sense an episode beginning, focus on small, repeatable actions, wiggling a toe, counting breaths, shifting your eyes rather than fighting. If you do slip into dream control, picture a safe doorway or light source and step through it. Replacing the script is easier than erasing it. Why some see him more often. Sleep deprivation, irregular schedules, jet lag, stress, anxiety, PTSD, sleeping on your back, stimulant used close to bedtime, and certain medications that alter REM can all increase episodes and intensify imagery. These same factors can also make dreams more vivid and sometimes more lucid, which is why people who chase lucid dreaming while chronically sleep deprived can end up with the worst of both worlds. Hypervivid paralysis without control. The psychological toll is real. Anticipatory anxiety breeds insomnia. Insomnia breeds more REM pressure and more paralysis. People start to fear their own nights. Breaking that loop matters. Practical levers help. Consistent sleep and wake times. A wind-down routine that lowers arousal. Reducing evening caffeine and screen glare. Side sleeping instead of supine. Brief, compassionate self-talk when you notice dread. This is physiology. It crests and passes. If episodes escalate or you have daytime sleep attacks, fragmented sleep or intense dream intrusion, a clinician can screen for narcolepsy or other sleep disorders and adjust meds that amplify REM boundary issues. Cognitive therapy can target the catastrophic beliefs "something is in my room" and reframe them into body-based explanations. Your brain trusts at 3a.m.hope isn't a slogan here, it's a skill. People learn to anticipate the signs, ride the wave, and even redirect it. Lucid dreamers report curiosity, creativity, and resilience from practicing control. Paralysis sufferers can borrow that toolkit, not to dominate the night, but to change the script. The presence at the door may still arrive, but when it does, you'll know what it is, what it isn't, and how to breathe until the room belongs to you again. Sleep paralysis feeds on uncertainty, but the first step in breaking its grip is knowledge. Knowing what it is, why it happens, and how to interrupt the cycle before fear takes over. Every episode begins with the same ingredients: stress, exhaustion, irregular sleep, and an overactive mind that refuses to shut down. Rebalancing those elements is where control starts. Begin with the body. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Avoid caffeine and alcohol in the evening, both of which interfere with REM regulation. If your schedule demands late nights, give your brain a 30-minute buffer of quiet, low-light activity, no screens, no doom scrolling, just stillness. Keep your room dark, cool, and safe. For many, sleeping on their side instead of their back significantly reduces episodes. It keeps airway and muscle tension from triggering the body's defense response that fuels the paralysis state. Then train the mind. When you feel an episode coming on, that heavy, electric pressure, the sense of something watching, redirect your focus inward instead of fighting it. Move the smallest muscle you can, a fingertip, a toe, your tongue. Count slowly or repeat a grounding phrase in your head. I'm awake, this will pass. Visualize light filling the room or a door opening, a cue borrowed from lucid dreaming practice. Some lucid dreamers use reality checks, looking at their hands, blinking twice, or focusing on breathing to stabilize awareness. Those same tools can turn terror into control, shifting paralysis toward lucid awareness rather than panic. For recurring figures like the Hat Man, cognitive behavioral reframing helps. Write down each episode immediately after waking. Describe what you saw, then deliberately reinterpret it. This is my brain's image of fear, not a visitor. Over time, repetition teaches the mind that the figure holds no power. When fear diminishes, the hallucination often fades too. Stress management outside the bedroom matters just as much. Daily exercise, sunlight exposure, mindful breathing, or brief meditation sessions regulate the same systems that govern REM transitions. Even short practices, 5 minutes of slow breathing before bed, can lower the arousal that keeps you trapped between worlds. And most importantly, remember, this phenomenon is shared. You are not cursed, not haunted, not broken. It's your brain misfiring in a moment of imbalance, painting nightmares on the walls of your own awareness. Many people who once dreaded sleep now approach it with curiosity. Some even learn to explore it. If you've met the Hat Man, if you've felt the weight or heard the whispers, tell your story. Every shared account turns fear into understanding. The more we talk about it, the less power it holds. Because the truth is, the same mind that can create the nightmare can also learn to reshape it, to turn paralysis into presence, and terror into calm. Maybe the real fear isn't the shadow at the end of the bed. Maybe it's the realization that our own minds can summon such darkness. Sleep paralysis reminds us how thin the line is between consciousness and chaos, between what we see and what we believe. The figures, the whispers, the Hat Man, they live in that borderland, born from our deepest anxieties, amplified by our exhaustion, and painted by our imagination onto the fragile screen of waking sleep. But the story doesn't have to end in terror. Understanding turns monsters into metaphors. Every time you learn what's happening inside your brain, the shadows lose a little of their weight. You start to see not a haunting, but a signal. Your body asking for rest, your mind asking for balance. So the next time you wake up frozen, heart pounding, remember this. You're not trapped in a nightmare. You're standing at the edge of two worlds, and you have the power to step back into your own. If you've ever seen the Hat Man, or felt that unseen presence in the dark, share your story below. Maybe, together, we can turn fear into fascination, and finally, rest without the shadows watching.